in unison. Come on. Do it next to each other. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, boy.
But it's funny. It's funny they ain't worked out the whole time until they got here.
I don't know what that is.
I think, what do I think? I think a new suggestion for Live Island producers is for people to come into the villa. Yes, I know they started off with the case before they coupled up people, but I think it's important that people come into the villa, spend at least 24, 48 hours just as single islanders, and then from there be asked to make a decision of who they want, because these people are too territorial. It's getting on my last nerve. Anyway, I digress. Hey there. Thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island USA, Season 6, Episode 2. It's interesting to go from the craziness of Love Island UK and then you switch over to the calm of Love Island US. Or maybe it's just because it's just recently started. Anyway, you have the two bombshells walk in, Connor and Hakeem. They're both in their late 20s, which is good. This year, at least they've listened and they've brought in an older cast, which is amazing. The girls are excited to see them. They jump up and they're excited to see them. They want to greet them, find out about them. And the boys, it was interesting because Hakeem had to call them out and sort of say, are you not greeting us or whatever? Because they just stood there and just watched them. And it's like, yeah, you're intimidated that there's new faces. And you know that means one of you will be going home. But still, at least be cordial, greet them, show them around, make them feel welcome. They did sit down with the girls and have a conversation. And Hakeem sort of was told by Jaina that, oh, I'm in a couple with Koi, so I'm closed off. It will take a lot. And it's like, girl, it's your first week. It is your first week. How can you, in your first week, already be closing things off and not even entertaining anyone and telling them that it will take a lot to turn your head? What about him has made you feel like you're that secure that you're locked in? Make it make sense. The math ain't mathing. You could tell Leah was excited. Leah was excited because she had fresh meat. And she told him that I'm the only single one, the one who's not in a couple. And it was nice to see Hakeem make her comfortable, make her feel wanted and sort of make her feel, positive about herself. Connor was just left in the mud. Hakeem seems more outgoing, more social, more confident in himself. Whereas Connor was sort of laid back. He had to sort of say, oh yes, I'm the same as Hakeem has said. And it's like, wow, you need to speak up. You need to speak up. This is not at home. You're going to go home on the next train if you don't speak up. He had a conversation between Rob and Liv. Rob, for me, I don't get him. Even on her part, I don't get Leah. It's not like they've been coupled up. Unless they're telling me that they've shown a week's worth of content in one episode. It doesn't make sense why Rob and Leah would be behaving the way they are behaving, because they're in new couples. They need to calm down. They need to calm down and they need to settle down and get to know new people. This is week 1. What about when they get to week 4? They'll be married off with children then at that pace. Liv tried to sort of explain why she chose Rob, and Rob is sort of saying, oh, I didn't expect you to pick me, I'm the last person. And it's like, well, you're the last person, but she explained at the fire pit that she chose you because you're different to the guy that she normally dates, and so she wants to try something new and see if anything will come of it. So what of that? Don't you understand? And it's like, make it make sense. You have Leah crying and the girl sort of trying to console her and tell her that Rob is okay. And it's like, are you crying because there's a strong connection, or are you crying because you don't want to lose the celebrity pairing that you had? Make that make sense, because it's not mathing. The math ain't mathing. I don't know. It's interesting. It really is interesting. So the islanders go to bed. Well, they get ready for bed. So everyone gets ready for bed, and it's nice to see that the boys are now more relaxed, because they looked very awkward and very tense when the bombshells came in. I love Hakeem of the bombshells, and I actually love him of the boys that are in the villa, because he seems outgoing, he looks good, and it was nice to see how bubbly he was. He wasn't taking anything seriously. Connor is the exact opposite, so it's going to take a lot to bring Connor out of his shell, because they've had conversations with the girls. They've sort of seen who they like. Hakeem has spoken to Leah. Well, we've seen him with Leah, and we've seen Connor go for a chat with Kayla. So it's interesting, because when they get into bed, you have, Rob run and give Leah a hug and sort of say, I'm sorry, I'll speak to you in the morning. And it's like, the two of you barely know each other. Why are you making it such a big deal as though you've been together for 3 weeks? This is Love Island. Everybody knows that the couples are constantly changing. So make that make sense. People go to bed and you have people making out. Kayla, for someone who was saying that Connor is her type, it's interesting to see her make out in bed with Aaron. You have Kendall making out in bed with Hannah, and it's just, oh my god, it's going on. In the morning, thank God there's no debrief, because I really hate debriefs. But Rob decides to make toast for both his ladies, as he called them, because he wants to apologize. Liv was very uncomfortable. She nearly fell out of bed because she was right on the edge of the bed. I think he really made it uncomfortable for her. So he gave a toast as a way of apologizing after sort of consulting the guys to say, do you think I should give them both? And it was like, well, you need to. If you're going to have two people in your life at the moment, or two people you're speaking to, you might as well treat them equally. Both girls didn't really make a big deal about it, but I was taken aback by the fact that Leah still feels some type of way about the fact that Liv picked Rob, and it's like, why would you do that? Why? He doesn't belong to you. You're in the villa. People are meant to explore connections. If your connection is stronger with you than it is with Liv, he'll come back. Even though I think Liv, after speaking to him, got the ick. I think after speaking to Rob, she got the ick, because they had a conversation after breakfast, and they were discussing their likes and their dislikes. And the more he spoke, you could see her getting turned off. She was really turned off. So I don't know how they're going to sort of navigate away from her being turned off to suddenly her having interest in him again, because he came across as very boring. I said this before. I said Rob is very boring. I don't even understand why they've brought him back, and it's just proved me right. The things that he liked, the songs, the music, everything was just off-putting. So I don't know how much longer Liv can entertain this, or she might as well graft one of the new guys. I think, in my opinion, at least the girls are safe because there's an extra guy. So she might as well graft one of the new guys and then wait for a Bombshell to come in, or wait for Casa. That's just my opinion. It's actually interesting watching the Bombshells graft the girls, because you actually see whether someone has good chant or whether someone is boring. Because normally you can sort of just underestimate someone and just say, oh, that person is boring, by just seeing a clip or two. But to see the conversation between Serena and Connor, you could tell. I think at first she was anxious, and then once they started speaking, she realized there's actually substance to this guy. They both like playlists. They both are sort of people who they share similar likes and values, and they were talking about their love languages, which was good. It wasn't just, oh, you're good looking. No, they went in depth about what they liked and what they didn't like, what they found attractive and what they didn't find. So I liked the fact that there was a lot of substance to that conversation, that it just didn't end at, oh, you look hot, I look hot, I like blue eyes, blonde hair, blah blah. No, there was a lot more to that conversation, which was amazing to see. And so I am happy that Serena has options and that she's not putting all her eggs in Cordell's basket, because I personally think she's settled. I think it's the type that she's dated that hasn't worked, and maybe she needs to step outside the box and try something totally different and see if there's anything that can come from it. You had this conversation between Hannah. Well, you had sort of Hakeem approach Hannah while she was in the kitchen with Kendall, and then he sort of pulled her for a chat, and you could see the boys were nervous because Kendall kept talking to Cordell, and they were sort of wondering what was going on. But this conversation went on, and they seem to have a lot of likes. They share sort of similar likes, dislikes, the fact that they like going to bed with socks, and the conversation kept going and going. And one thing about Hakeem is he's very bubbly and very outgoing, so he's easy to talk to. And because he's a fitness coach, he deals with a lot of people. So that was good to see how he was able to sort of drive that conversation and find more in common, the fact that their body languages are physical touch. And suddenly you had Hakeem sitting there with his leg on Hannah's leg. And oh my God, Kendall was shaking in his boots. He was shaking in his boots. And then the audacity for Cordell to say, oh, go and pull her. No, they've been talking for too long. It's too long. You need to. And it's like, that will just make things difficult. You're now in a love triangle. This is what you have to accept, and you have to find a way to navigate that, because no longer is it you sort of sitting there and having Hannah run after you. No, Hannah now has options. So it's up to you to up your game. And it's going to be difficult, sadly, for Kendall to match Hakeem, because Hakeem seems like he's all there. I would have liked him to couple up with someone like Serena. Obviously, Jaina closed him off and told her that, it takes a lot to sort of impress her. So he has to make do with what's available to him until another bombshell comes in. So it will be interesting to see how they go. So the islanders get ready for the night, and you have people split into their couples to have conversations. I'm going to call it with Koi and Jaina. They remind me of Timmy and Zita. There's something a bit off there with Timmy and Zita. We later found out they decided to play the game. And the fact that it's only been 48 hours and they're already locked in, they're telling people that it will take a lot to turn my head. Even their conversation didn't make sense to me. There's nothing there to say that they're attracted to one another. I think they've seen the person who's going to keep them in the villa, and they're going to stay out of the mess. They're going to try and be as professional as possible and try and avoid any unnecessary drama. So it's going to be interesting to see how far they can push this boat, meaning that none of the guys, even the Casa guys, are going to turn her head. It's too early for her to say that. It's too early for her to say within 48 hours, nobody's going to turn my head. I don't get that. You had a conversation between Kayla and Connor. Connor, from the moment he walked in, he said Kayla was this type of girl that he would normally date in the real world, and he's been expressing his interest in her from that moment. So I'm not surprised that he's continued to put a lot of pressure, and he's ended up taking her to Soul Tiles for a kiss. What I didn't like, what I thought was messy, was the other three girls coming up. That wasn't right. I don't think it was fair for Serena, Jaina, and Leah to come up and listen to what was going on and try to investigate what they were doing. That wasn't necessary, because it's just going to create unnecessary drama, and it's going to create a lot of toxic tension in the villa. So that I didn't like. You had... What do I think? I don't like Rob, the snake. I've always been doubtful about his intentions in the villa, and now he's just proved me right, in the sense that I felt I didn't understand why the producers even saw the need to give him a second chance, because giving him a second chance, you'd give a second chance to someone who's bubbly and outgoing, someone who's got main character vibes. He doesn't have any main character vibes. The audacity to speak to Liv and tell Liv that, he was in a three-way last season when he came in as a bombshell, and he felt like the other person didn't even give him a shot, and he eventually went home. So for him to promise that he's going to give her an opportunity and then sneak off to the deck with Leah, yes, he was in a couple with Leah, but it's only been 48 hours. For him to make it out like they're married off and someone is trying to break them up didn't make sense to me. I didn't like that. I know he had a conversation with Liv before he went to the deck, and Liv felt like it was very productive. Yes, she said it's like chipping away at an ice with an ice pick, but still, it shouldn't be like that. Someone like that shouldn't come on Love is Blind. Someone like that should stay at home or should go to Married at First Sight, where his match is already there and he doesn't need to do any work or do any grafting. So I don't know whether he's trying to keep both girls sweet, that way he has options for tomorrow if there's a recoupling, or whether this is who he actually is, because if he's this dry normally, I don't understand why the producers have decided or felt the need to bring him back. Did I think their kiss was with Leah? Leah, I was wondering who she reminds me of. And she reminds me of Courtney from Serenity's season. She reminds me of Courtney, the way Courtney was ditzy and sort of all over the place. That's the impression that I'm getting from Leah. I don't know whether she's faking it or this is who she is, but I got the ditzy vibes from her, and it was just a bit too much. The conversation between Kayla and Liv, what do I think? Well, I give it to Liv for finally speaking her mind and saying, I don't understand why Leah's upset with me. It's only been 48 hours that she's been coupled up with Rob, so I don't get why she's upset that I decided to couple up with him. And yeah, I don't think people are upset that their connection has been broken. I think it's more people are upset at the idea that they might possibly be the first one to go home. No one wants to be the first person to go home, so it's going to be funny or interesting to see who couples up with who when they have the next recoupling. Anyway, it was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. It's interesting to see how anxious people get or how territorial people get when it's barely been a week that they've been in the villa. So I can only imagine what it will be like in 2 weeks, because people are going to start taking sides and are going to refuse to explore connections just because they're worried that their connection might not save them. I don't know. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 1. Bye guys.